inspirational. But then there's the one by the Hawaiian guy, Israel. My God, if this whole fat shaming thing existed back back when that song came out or around there, you know how mean that would be. Now somebody should have told him something. That way he might have lived longer, had a fuller life. But um, yeah, it, for anybody who knows basic human psychology, basic human psychology. No, shaming, shaming, and guilt and fear are. It's not as a. It causes a lot of problems, and I think the times that it works because it works over a longer time. Does that make sense? So it's like that thing we were talking about a couple of episodes ago with the what the fuck is it called? Where they send kids to prison. You guys know what I'm talking about. When they send kids to a tour of prison, right? You would think that would, it would make the kids scared of going to prison because they see what prison's like. It could have worked like that if you just made it normal, but you don't. You make it the guards fucking beating, like really ramming into these kids. And then what do they learn? They learn not to trust authority. They learn these people who are going to keep you in are the bad guys. That's what they learn. And then you wonder why it doesn't work later, because guess what? These kids have you just more instilled this fear and annoyance and anger towards authority. And this episode wasn't going to get serious. It was really going to get stupid. But here I am being a little serious. So yeah, fear and shame. I mean, how many times it's like, you must feel guilt. We must shame you into guilt. And then you get the different reaction that you wanted. Because people don't want to feel guilt. They don't want to feel shame. They don't want to feel fear. They will fight against it. Right? So that's why a lot of crimes are committed when people take drugs. Most of the people in prison or in jails, they went in there after doing something when they were drunk or on drugs. And it's no excuse, but guess what? This is what happens. You take people's fear away through, any means, whether it's through cognitive dissonance or very logical but irrational reason, or through chemical means, like alcohol. And suddenly people who aren't afraid of doing stupid things are going to do something stupid. Now, if you think the idea is to make them really fear it, for some people it works, but guess what? For a lot of people, let's see, drinking and driving, right? A lot of people drink and drive, and a lot of people get away with it. And some people, like I used to have a friend who I guess he started in college, and his friends would kind of cheer him on by the idea, is fucked up, but the idea of how he could always get away with drinking and driving. Never get into an accident, never get into this, and which is quite impressive. But at the same time, you don't cheer people on to try to do it over and over again to kind of live up to the legend of the guy who can not get a DUI. So we tried, and me and some other people, we weaned him off it and weaned him off it. No, we didn't. We stopped him from doing it. We didn't wean him. We stopped him from doing that anymore, to stop trying to live up to that legend. And eventually he stopped, and that was that. Where was I? But look at him. He didn't have the fear, and he tried to live up to a legend. Why? Because nothing ever happened to him, which is a cognitive dissonance. Not dissonant, is it? Cognitive bias. Some form of cognitive bias where I didn't get caught before. Am I going to get caught again? Or I didn't get into an accident before. Am I going to get an accident again? And somebody who's drunk is obviously doesn't have the fear of that one time. So when they get drunk, they're not thinking straight. So that is through the chemical means, but often the fear of things will cause will have the same effect. It'll cause people to fight against the fear. And the same thing happens with guilt and shame. Those things will people will fight against it. They'll ignore you. So some fat guy or girl or whatever, gal, that's what that's a part. See, that's a part of feminism that I'm going for, right? I'm willing to say I think women need to everybody needs to understand, but women need to understand when people say girls, it's not to mean younger or small girls. It's just vernacular. It is vernacular. Some people are not trying to do it, and it's also with the woman thing. So it's like men and girls. It's like women are two syllables, and if you, it's aesthetically weird. Woman. It's like the way it fits in the mouth. It's a weird word. So girls is just boom. Now, does it mean they fully believe that that's the that they're little girls against men or with men? No, they don't believe that. It's simply vernacular. But so don't shame them, don't guilt them. Improve, and be willing. It's like when somebody does something wrong, and then another person's like they catch them doing the wrong thing, and it's like, all right, I'll give you one more chance, but if you fail, you know, you're out of here, or something like that. So what happens is, let's say they're already doing it out of a habit. Doing the one more chance, is you're not going to improve them because they're still stuck on the habit. You need to be willing to give them. You need to be willing to see them, through their change of behavior, but also, how do I say this? See them through for the change of behavior and keep them accountable for it, of course. But if they mess up again, help them see, like, all right, you messed up. Now get back on the wagon. And I'm going for alcoholism here too. When people relapse. When people relapse, it's like, oh no, you see, you're never going to change. And then, you reinforce the idea you're never going to change. And you won't see that in rehab ideals. You don't see that relapse. It's like, oh, you are done for. It's like, no. All right, you messed up. No one's perfect. This particular problem, really fucks with people, but no one's perfect. So, get back on the wagon, keep trying, keep doing it. And aside from the idea of the health problems of alcoholism, especially true alcoholism, the disease rather than the simply I drink too much aspect of it, which is how Bill Burr goes about it. Am I really an alcoholic? No, Bill Burr, you're not really an alcoholic. You just drink a lot sometimes. But aside from the disease level of your liver not working, a person can relapse, and then they just need to get back on it and rebuild that habit, and slowly but surely you'll be fine. Now, it's not to everybody's responsibility to keep dealing with that issue and be around them. But at the same time, if you want them to get better and you don't give them a chance to fight against that habit, then they're not really going to get all that better. So you got to stick with them through the habit. And it's the same thing, to swing back around these random thoughts, is the fat shaming thing, right? You shouldn't fat shame Israel. You should have encouraged him. And he'll relapse. Maybe he won't. It'll take a while to build the habit and blah, blah, blah of eating right. But he could have got skinnier. He could have got better. And he didn't. Now, I don't know if anybody was fat shaming him or something. Maybe somebody was. But back to my main point was that a person could still be worth so much awesomeness, even though the judgment that somebody plays on them. So if we were back at the time that we were fat shaming people, and we fat shamed Israel, imagine we wouldn't have that beautiful music. Maybe he's strong enough as a person to make the music anyway, but what if we made him feel so bad that he had no confidence himself to actually get shit done and be a person and be willing to do things, which is what we do. Then we wouldn't have that great music because he would be, destroyed. And people are not that strong all the time. what was it? I can't remember the name, but there are people that through criticism have their lives have been destroyed. Their their confidence has been taken. There's even like artists, like poets, um, that have killed themselves due to criticism. Man, this episode got dark, and it was supposed to be funny. It was supposed to be funny, and it's not funny anymore. um, yeah. So people don't fat shame. That's mean. And yeah. What else can we talk about with my life? I don't. Oh, the feminism thing. What I was going, and it goes back. It's feminism movies and TV shows suck. Now, do they suck because of the feminism? In part, but they suck in other ways too. This is the thing. They suck because they're when there's a social economic social ideal that is placed uh that is deliberately placed and not explored in a work, that's when you fuck up. For example, look at a movie like Fight Club, one of the best movies ever, one of my favorites. Now you could say that's anti-feminist, but here's the thing: the parts of it that are, if you really watch the movie and think through the parts of it that deal with masculinity, if you notice, those are not uh, accurate. Not accurate. They're not right. If you watch the full movie, you realize by the end that those masculine ideals and what they were doing was extreme, but they were rebellion against how males have been feeling. They feel demasculated, so in against that demasculation and taking away people's self agency and stuff, they rebelled. They started fighting. They did shitty stuff. They lived like Spartans. They went all Spartan. Live like Spartan. Well, people don't people don't live like Greeks anymore. Yeah, they went all Spartan, and they went to an extreme to fight an extreme. And the main character does the same thing. He go, dun, 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 and the main character does the same thing. He goes through that motion, but you don't get that in feminist movies, in feminist or TV shows, because it explores this idea of rightness and justice. And it's like, leave that to real fucking, it's, I don't like it in real life in that manner, but leave it to real um real life. Like the idea, encourage people to not say girls and use a different thing. Like I want to say more often guys and gals. Gals makes sense with gals makes sense rather than using guys and girls. Makes perfect sense. But let's say I walk up to a group of women, ladies, and I say, "Hey, what's up, guys?" Am I going to be ostracized for that? Because it's fucking vernacular. It's how I say things. I'll say it to anybody. God, it's just, I don't even think about how I say it. I just fucking say it, which means I need to change, right? I should say, "Hey, what's up, gals?" If it's a group of gals. But guess what? It's vernacular. I don't even fucking know I'm saying it. It's like when I say, Jesus Christ, right? That's not me taking the Lord's name in vain with the absolute idea of the Lord should be taken in vain. I'm saying that as just something I say, which means maybe I should step back in order to respect other people. But there's a idea of justice that is corrupted, and in feminist movies, that's what happens. It's weird though, because some movies don't, and that's what I wanted to bring up. um Eat, Pray, Love. I love that movie. Totally underrated. People suck for not liking that movie. It's a great movie, and it explores, you could say it explores feminist ideals, but it doesn't. It's a woman who just felt so, it's kind of like Fleck Up. A woman felt so bad in her current state that she wanted to see something more. So she went to the extremes, right? She goes and becomes a hedonist in Italy and eats whatever she wants and like I am free to do what I want, but it doesn't quite hit the mark. Then she goes to a Buddhist place, a Buddhist monastery in India, I think she goes to, yeah. And there's another extreme discipline, extreme that. And people could say, oh, that's the right way to do it. That's why the movie's stupid. A white woman going there and saying, oh, that's wrong, but whatever. Um, that was great. She goes to an extreme of discipline and finds out I like these lessons. I like the things I'm learning here, but this also doesn't fit. Then she finally finds the ego, the middle ground, the balance between the things through, Javier Bardem. I mean, anybody could find the balance with Javier Bardem. Great actor. Shout out. Yeah. But she goes to that, and you could, people back then were considering that a feminist movie. And guess what? It dealt with feminist ideals. It dealt with a woman going through and finding her self agency, breaking down the walls of what she knew before as being right. But it also explores the idea rather than state it as fact. Another great movie that does it, Annihilation. Watch the movie. It's great. Shout out to Natalie Portman. You did great in there. Shout out to the guy who I don't remember his name, but he's actually Latino, and he's not Jewish, even though I always thought he was Jewish. But it was only because I watched that one movie where he was Jewish. I think Jewish. Maybe he wasn't. Maybe I'm racist. Anyway, he was great. Everybody was great. And guess what? It was secretly a feminist movie. It the whole group that is throughout the entire movie, all females. But guess what? It didn't try to say, oh, females are in here. Oh, they could do just as good as men. Actually, the men didn't do wrong. They got through a lot. If you watch the movie, there's this group of men that goes in first, and then the women go in second, and we follow the woman, and the story of the men is explained, and it's basically the men didn't. The men are not lesser than the woman, and the only reason the women are there is not because the women are there. It's because how do you say it? The circumstances. They are a group of women by the circumstance of having a group of women. So a group of women being there, they are real characters too. They have faults. They do stupid, irrational things, not because they're women, but because they are in that situation. Some are more rational, some are more logical and keeping their cool, while others are being fucking stupid and scared and getting, blah blah blah. It's kind of like a horror sci-fi film. It's really cool, and it's amazing. It's amazing, and guess what? It's a movie filled with women, and I don't remember it being labeled as a fight justice feminist movie. Why? Because they did it right. Because they didn't try to say this is what's right. They just did it. They just had women there, and that's the thing. I feel like if you go that way, you are already presenting the ideal as it's already that way. Women are already just as good as men. And they already are capable and have their self-agency, or in the eat pray love idea, they're just exploring it. They're exploring ideals and becoming themselves rather than fitting the role that a woman should. And exploring it that way is going to be so much better and give so much more entertainment than really a movie that has to put a stake through it and say, this is what's right. No movie is ever going to be good if it's like that, with exceptions. But yeah, if we're gonna approach feminism better and through movies and TV shows, let's explore it, or let's just assume through circumstance and stuff that women are fine. Like Annihilation. Make the whole group a group of women, but make them real characters without this idea of, oh, we are strong. It's like, yeah, you are strong. You're also flawed, just like a group of men would be strong but also be flawed. Does that make sense, people? Does it make sense? Okay. So we are done. I am going to log off now. Um, I hope you guys enjoyed this one episode, and if you didn't, go fuck yourself. No, um, it's just gonna be the one episode with me by myself that we kept. Um, and I had fun. Not really. Kind of. My back hurts now. See, I need to get a new chair. Timba had fun sleeping and not making noise, which is nice. And yeah, this I hope you guys had fun with this one episode with me, and if you didn't, it's gonna be just probably one episode with me in it, so you don't have to worry too much about me maintaining being here. So yeah,